Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
They had stopped announcing the number out loud after 500. At first, each rejection had been spoken clearly over the hall's central system. Calm, sterile, impossible to argue with. Application 112 declined. Application 276 declined. Application 499 declined. By then, people had started to notice her, not out of kindness, but curiosity. By the time the number reached 1,000, the system no longer used its voice. It simply displayed it. Cold, silent, final. The galactic adoption hall stretched for what felt like kilometers, a vast chamber of glass, steel, and softly glowing pathways that guided families from one decision to the next. Species from 100 worlds moved through its corridors, some towering and crystalline, others fluid and shimmering, others almost indistinguishable from humans. Children waited in designated zones, each carefully designed to make them appear as approachable as possible. Warm lighting, soft colors, subtle music calibrated to reduce anxiety. Everything engineered to encourage connection. Everything except her. Lyra, 7, sat outside the designated zones. Not because she had chosen to, because she had been moved. Subject displays unpredictable resonance. One evaluator had said months ago, recommend observational placement only. So they had placed her bench near the far end of the hall, just outside the main circulation flow. Not hidden, but not highlighted. Visible enough to be considered, distant enough to be avoided. Her bench was made of a smooth alloy that adjusted temperature for most species. It never quite got hers right. Her skin, violet with thin, branching lines of silver, reacted to emotional stimuli. The more intense the feeling, the brighter the light beneath her surface. Right now, she barely glowed. A faint pulse, like something trying not to be noticed. Families passed. Some slowed down. Most didn't. A tall, forearm being paused nearby, its upper set of eyes narrowing slightly as it scanned her. A small child clung to its lower arm, peeking out. "What is that one?" the child asked. "Not for us," the parent replied quickly. They moved on. Lyra recorded the interaction. She recorded all of them, not because she was told to, but because it helped her understand patterns. Avoidance patterns, vocal tone shifts, eye movement irregularities. Fear had a structure. She was learning it. A pair of human-like adults approached next. They didn't stop immediately, but they didn't pass either. The woman looked at the display, hovering beside Lyra's bench. Lyra, 7. Origin, unregistered convergent species. Status, adaptive/unstable. Compatibility rating, variable. Recommendation, caution. "That doesn't sound good," the woman whispered. The man nodded. Variable means unpredictable. Lyra spoke before they could leave. "I can stabilize," she said. Her voice layered gently across itself, like multiple harmonics trying to agree. Both adults flinched. Not dramatically, but enough. "How?" the man asked, cautious. "I adapt to emotional environments," she explained. Prolonged exposure results in synchronization. The woman's expression tightened. "Synchronization?" she repeated. "Yes." "Meaning what exactly?" Lyra searched for a clearer explanation. "It means I will understand you." The silence that followed was brief, but decisive. The woman stepped back. "No," she said quietly. No." They left. Lyra's glow dimmed another fraction. She logged the exchange. Keyword trigger. Understand. Negative response probability. High. She adjusted her internal communication models. Next time, she would try different phrasing. Above her, the display flickered again. Application number 873. Declined. The number updated without sound. No announcement. No acknowledgement. Just progress. Time in the hall didn't function like time on most worlds. Artificial cycles simulated day and night, but the flow of activity never truly stopped. There were always families, always children, always decisions being made. Lyra remained. At application number 912, a group of 3 approached. 2 adults and a child with luminous blue skin and wide, curious eyes. The child broke away first. "Hi," they said, stepping closer to Lyra. The parents stiffened immediately. "Stay close," one of them warned. "I am not harmful," Lyra said. The child tilted their head. "You look like stars," they said. Lyra paused. No one had said that before. "Thank you," she replied. The child smiled, then reached out, just slightly, not touching, but close. Lyra's internal systems reacted instantly. Her silver lines brightened, just a little, a response, connection. The parents saw it and panicked. "Back!" One of them snapped, pulling the child away. "It reacted," the other said. "Did you see that?" "I respond to proximity," Lyra said quickly. "It is non-invasive." But they were already leaving. The child looked back, confused. "I like them," the child said. "It's not safe," the parent replied. Lyra's glow flickered, brighter this time, not from connection, from something else, something sharper. She didn't have a word for it, but she recorded it anyway. Application number 1000 declined. This time, the number lingered longer on the display, as if even the system recognized the weight of it. The hall continued around her, unchanged, unaffected. A celebration sounded in the distance as another child found a family. Soft music swelled. Lights warmed. Applause, gentle, respectful, echoed across the chamber. Lyra turned her gaze toward it. She observed the way the child held onto their new guardian, the way the guardian leaned down, closer, not away, the way no one hesitated. She analyzed the moment, frame by frame, emotion by emotion. She tried to simulate it internally, but the model failed. Incomplete data. So she did the only thing she could. She waited on the same bench, under the same flickering display, with the same faint glow that refused to disappear completely, because somewhere within her adaptive core, beyond rejection logs and behavioral models, there was still a variable she hadn't solved, a question no one had asked, and until someone did, she would remain, watching, learning, and waiting at the 1000th door that never opened. By the time he arrived, the hall had entered its quieter cycle. Not empty, never empty, but subdued. The lighting softened into twilight hues, designed to calm overstimulated minds. Conversations dropped to murmurs. Footsteps echoed less urgently across the polished floor. It was a time when decisions had already been made, when families either celebrated or left. Lyra remained where she always was. Same bench, same position, same faint, controlled glow beneath her skin. She had adjusted her posture hours ago to appear more approachable. Shoulders slightly relaxed, head angled, not too direct, not too distant. It had not changed outcomes, but she continued refining. She detected him before she saw him, not visually. Emotionally, it was uneven. Human emotional patterns were known for their variability, but this one didn't follow the usual curves of hesitation or evaluation. It didn't spike at fear. It didn't dip at uncertainty. It wandered. Curiosity layered with fatigue. A trace of sadness, but not directed outward. Something heavier, buried deeper. And something else. A refusal. Then he stepped into her line of sight. Medium height. Unremarkable by most galactic standards. Worn jacket. Crease at the sleeves. Fabric faded in places that suggested long use rather than neglect. Boots marked by dust from multiple environments. Not polished. Not prepared. Not typical. Lyra adjusted her observational focus. Human. Male. Approximate age. Mid-cycle adult. Status. Unaffiliated. Behavior. Non-linear movement pattern. He wasn't following the guided paths. He wasn't heading toward the exit either. He was drifting, looking at displays, pausing briefly, moving on not with rejection but without engagement, as if he wasn't searching for a specific child, as if he didn't know what he was searching for at all. He almost walked past her. Almost. Lyra registered the moment his gaze intersected with her. There was no immediate reaction, no recoil, no accelerated heart rate spike, just recognition. He slowed, stopped, turned, and instead of redirecting himself back toward the main flow, he walked toward her, Lyra's internal system shifted. New interaction. Unknown pattern. She remained still. He stopped directly in front of her bench. Not at a distance. Not angled away. Direct. Close enough for full visual contact. His eyes moved across her form. Not quickly, not scanning for threats, but carefully, taking the details others avoided. The silver lines beneath her skin. The subtle shifting of color. The way her eyes reflected more light than they should. He noticed everything, and stayed. "Hey," he said. The word was simple, unstructured, no formal greeting protocol. Lyra processed it. "Hello," she replied, her voice layered softly, harmonics aligning slightly more than before. She had refined that too, reducing dissonance in her tone after repeated negative reactions. He didn't flinch. "Are you waiting for someone?" he asked. Lyra paused. The question required interpretation. Waiting implied expectation. Expectation implied probability. Her probability had reached near zero after application number 1000. "I am not assigned," she said. He frowned slightly. "Assigned?" She adjusted. "I am not selected." That translated better. His expression changed, not to fear but confusion. He glanced at the display beside her, reading quickly. Lyra observed micro-expressions. Eyebrow tension. Lip movement. A brief tightening of the jaw. Processing, not rejection. "Why?" he asked. Lyra's internal systems hesitated. That question did not align with prior interactions. Families did not ask why. They evaluated. They decided. They left. No one had requested causal explanation. "Reasons are not fully disclosed," she replied. "I am categorized as unsuitable." He looked back at her. Longer this time. "Yeah," he said slowly. "That doesn't answer anything." Then something unexpected happened. He sat down, not beside the edge of the bench, not with space between them, but directly next to her, close enough that their shoulders nearly aligned. Lyra's systems reacted instantly. Proximity alert. Emotional resonance threshold. Approaching activation. Her silver lines brightened slightly, just a faint increase. She attempted to suppress it. "Proximity may result in synchronization," she said. He glanced at her. "Is that a warning?" "Yes." "Or a feature?" She paused. "No data." He let out a quiet breath that almost resembled a laugh. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hall continued around them. Distant voices, soft announcements, the hum of systems maintaining artificial atmosphere. But the space between them, that was different. Not empty, not tense, just present. "Name?" he asked eventually. "Lyra, 7. He tilted his head. 7. Designation number within my cluster. Got a shorter version? She processed. Lyra is acceptable. He nodded. I'm Elias. She repeated it internally. Elias. Human. Identifier established. Okay, Lyra, he said, leaning forward slightly, elbows resting on his knees. Let's try this again. She focused fully on him. Why does nobody pick you? Direct, unfiltered, no hesitation. Lyra searched for the most accurate explanation. They detect risk, she said. What kind? I am a convergence organism. He didn't react immediately, so she continued. My species adapts to emotional and cognitive environments. Prolonged exposure results in integration. Elias rubbed his chin. Integration, how? Shared emotional states. Gradual alignment of thought patterns. Increased mutual awareness. He blinked. So empathy? Beyond standard parameters. Right. He leaned back slightly, looking up at the ceiling as if trying to map her words into something familiar. Do you hurt people? He asked. No. Take control? No. Then what's the actual problem? Lyra's glow dimmed slightly. Loss, she said. He looked at her again. Loss of what? Separation, she replied. Individual boundaries. He was quiet for a moment. Then, they're scared of you. Yes. Because you get too close. Yes. He exhaled slowly. That's ironic, he muttered. Lyra tilted her head. Clarify. He glanced at her. Most people spend their lives trying to feel understood, he said. And when something comes along that actually does it, they run. She processed that. It aligned with observed behavior, but not with stated reasoning. Contradiction detected, she said. Welcome to humans, he replied. Another pause. This one longer, more settled. Are you afraid? She asked. It was her turn. Her question. Elias didn't answer immediately. He looked down at his hands, then at her, then somewhere past her, as if searching through something internal. Yeah, he said finally. Lyra's glow flickered slightly. Of what? He shrugged, but it wasn't casual. Of a lot of things, he admitted. But not you. Her systems registered the statement, repeated it, analyzed it. No deception indicators detected. You should be, she said. Why? I will change you. He met her gaze, and for the first time, there was no confusion, no hesitation, just clarity. Good, he said quietly. They weren't supposed to leave the waiting zone together. That was one of the first rules. Unassigned subjects remain in designated areas. Potential adopters engage only under supervision. Lyra knew this. She had memorized every regulation within the hall after her first 200 rejections. But Elias didn't move like someone who followed systems. He stood up, stretched slightly, and gestured with his head. Come on, he said. She remained seated for a fraction of a second, processing. No directive has been issued for relocation, she replied. Elias shrugged. Yeah, well, I'm issuing one. That is not within your authority. Probably not. He smiled faintly, still doing it. Lyra stood, not because she had been instructed to, but because something in his behavior didn't match any pattern she had studied, and she needed more data. They moved away from the main hall, past the soft-lit adoption zones, and into a quieter corridor lined with observation rooms. Transparent panels revealed controlled environments where specialists evaluated species compatibility in simulated living conditions. Most rooms were empty at this hour. Lights dimmed, systems idle. The corridor hummed softly, steady neutral, safe. Elias leaned against one of the walls, arms crossed loosely. All right, he said. No interruptions here. Lyra remained standing, a short distance away, maintaining space, managing resonance. You requested full disclosure, she said. Yeah, he replied. I did. Then I will provide it. She paused, not because she lacked information, but because this was the first time it might matter. My species does not form connections in the traditional sense, she began. We do not bond through proximity alone. We integrate through exposure. Elias nodded slightly. You said that. This is incomplete, she continued. He didn't interrupt. Initial contact results in emotional mirroring, she said. Surface-level synchronization. This is often perceived as empathy. That doesn't sound so bad. It is not. She hesitated. However, prolonged interaction leads to deeper convergence. How deep? Lyra's glow dimmed slightly. Identity level. Silence. Elias shifted his weight, but didn't step back. Define that, he said. Lyra looked directly at him. Your emotional responses would no longer be entirely independent, she said. Your thoughts would begin to align with mine. Not replaced, not erased, but intertwined. He frowned slightly. Like influence? More than influence. Like control? No. Then what? Lyra searched for a precise translation, like sharing a single boundary. Elias exhaled slowly. Okay, he said. That's Dalat. Yes. And this just happens? Yes. Automatically? Yes. No way to stop it? Distance reduces progression. Complete separation halts it. He looked at her. But if someone stays? Lyra didn't answer immediately. Her internal systems ran through projections, simulations, outcomes. Then she said it. They would not remain entirely themselves. The corridor felt quieter after that. Even the ambient hum seemed to recede. Elias pushed himself off the wall and started pacing slowly. Not away, just moving, thinking. And that's why no one picks you, he said. Yes, they think you erased them. They fear dissolution. He stopped walking, looked at her. Would you? No. You're sure? Yes. How? Because I do not replace, she said. I combine. He let out a short breath. That's not exactly comforting. Lyra's glow flickered faintly. I am aware. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. Okay, let me get this straight, he said. Best case scenario. Someone adopts you, spends enough time around you, and eventually, they understand me completely, Lyra finished. And you understand them. Yes. And you both change. Yes. He looked at the floor, then back at her. And worst case? Lyra paused. This was the part most evaluators didn't let her finish. They interrupted, logged high risk, ended the session. I adapt faster than they can stabilize, she said quietly. Elias didn't move. What does that mean? It means I could overwhelm their cognitive boundaries, she continued. Too much input, too much shared processing. Like overload? Yes. Damage? Possible. There it was. The reason. The real one. Not unsuitable. Not variable. Dangerous. Elias absorbed that in silence. No immediate reaction. No visible fear spike. Just processing. You've done that before? He asked. Lyra's glow dimmed further. No. Then how do they know? Predictive modeling. Ah. He nodded slowly. People love being afraid of things that haven't happened yet. Lyra tilted her head. That is statistically accurate. Another pause. This one heavier. You said you feel people. Elias said, yes. How much? Completely, she replied. Explain. Lyra took a step closer. Not enough to trigger full resonance, but enough to demonstrate. When you entered the hall, she said, your emotional state was fragmented. Elias blinked. Go on. You carried fatigue layered over sustained isolation, she continued. Not physical isolation, social disconnection. Long term. His posture shifted slightly. Barely noticeable, but real. You were not searching for a child, she said. You were avoiding something else. Elias looked away, toward the observation rooms, toward nothing in particular. Loss, Lyra added softly. The word landed. He exhaled. Slow. Controlled. You don't waste time, do you? He muttered. No. Silence again. But this time it wasn't empty. It was filled with recognition. That's what scares them, Elias said finally. Yes. Not what you might do. No. It's that you already see too much. Lyra didn't respond. Because he was correct. Elias leaned back against the wall again. But differently this time. Less guarded. More grounded. So if I stayed, he said slowly, you'd start to feel everything I feel. Yes. And I'd start to feel you. Yes. And eventually we blur. Yes. He nodded. Not in fear. Not in rejection. Just acknowledgement. Sounds messy, he said. It is. He looked at her again. Longer than before. Not analyzing. Not evaluating. Just seeing. Do you want that? He asked. The question stopped her. Completely. No one had ever asked her that. Not what she was. Not what she could do. But what she wanted. Her system searched for an answer. There was no predefined response. No stored pattern. No evaluation metric. I do not know, she said. Elias nodded slowly. Fair enough. Another pause. Softer this time. Less sharp. But I do know something, he said. Lyra focused on him. Being alone doesn't seem to be working out great for either of us. Her glow shifted. Not brighter. Not dimmer. Just different. For the first time since application number 1, the equation had changed. Not solved. Not safe. But no longer one-sided. And somewhere, deep within the system logs of Galactic Adoption Hall, a risk assessment began to update. Not because Lyra had changed, but because someone had finally stayed long enough to hear the truth no one else wanted. The administrative wing of the Galactic Adoption Hall felt nothing like the rest of it, gone with the soft lights and carefully curated warmth. Here, everything was precise. Sharp edges, neutral tones, transparent walls that revealed more than they concealed. Decisions weren't encouraged here. They were enforced. Lyra walked half a step behind Elias, not out of submission, but because she was observing, measuring. His pace had changed. More direct now, less wandering, purposeful. She adjusted her internal models. Behavioral shift, commitment forming. Last chance to turn back, she said. Elias didn't slow. Not really my style, he replied. Probability of negative outcome remains high. Yeah, you may experience cognitive destabilization. Wouldn't be my first time. She paused slightly. That was not intended as humor. It wasn't received as one. They reached the central authorization chamber, a circular room, elevated slightly above the surrounding corridors. At its center stood a single interface platform, smooth, glowing faintly, connected to the system that had processed thousands of lives like transactions. Behind it stood an officer, tall, composed, expression carefully neutral in the way only someone trained to deny emotion could achieve. But Lyra saw it immediately. Tension, recognition, concern. Subject Lyra, 7. The officer said, not a greeting, a statement. Human applicant, they added, shifting their gaze to Elias. You have entered a restricted zone without clearance. Elias shrugged. Door wasn't locked. That is not an invitation. Felt like one. The officer exhaled slowly. State your intent. Elias stepped forward. I want to adopt her. Silence. Not shocked. Not loud. Just heavy. The officer's gaze sharpened. You have reviewed the full risk profile? No, Elias said. Lyra turned slightly toward him. That is inaccurate, she said. I have provided. I've heard enough, Elias cut in gently. Then to the officer, I know what she is. The officer tapped the interface. A display expanded between them. Lyra's file, longer than most, far longer, sections marked in red. High-risk adaptive entity. Cognitive convergence potential. Identity dissolution model, unstable. Then you understand, the officer said. Prolonged exposure may result in irreversible integration of cognitive structures. Elias leaned slightly to the side, glancing at the file. Yeah, he said. You mean she gets close? That is an insufficient summary. It's an honest one. The officer's expression tightened. This is not a philosophical exercise, they said. This is a legal and biological contract with permanent consequences. Everything is, Elias replied. Lyra's glow flickered faintly. The room's emotional density was increasing. Tension, resistance, uncertainty. She stabilized her output. You will change, she said, stepping forward. Not toward the officer. Toward Elias. You will lose aspects of your current identity. I know. You may not remain fully independent. I heard you. You may experience cognitive overload. He looked at her. I'm still here. The officer intervened. Human, you are responding emotionally, not rationally. Elias let out a quiet breath. No, he said. I'm responding rationally to something you're refusing to look at. The officer's eyes narrowed. Clarify. Elias gestured toward Lyra. You've had her here how long? Duration is not relevant. It is, to me, 3 standard cycles. And in that time, no successful placements. Not one. No. Elias nodded slowly. Right. He turned slightly, looking around the sterile chamber, then back at the officer. So, let me get this straight, he said. You've got someone who doesn't hurt people, doesn't control them, doesn't force anything. Potential. Potential, Elias echoed, raising a hand. Based on models, not reality. The officer remained silent. And the real reason no one picks her, Elias continued, is because she understands people too well. That is a mischaracterization. It's an accurate one. Lyra's internal systems register shift, not in data, in something else. Alignment. Families require stability, the officer said. Predictability. Boundaries. Yeah, Elias said, and she challenges all of that. Yes. So you label her a risk. She is a risk. Elias stepped closer to the platform. So is every meaningful relationship, he said. Silence again. But different now. Less controlled. The officers studied him. Longer than before. Assessing. Reevaluating. Why? They asked finally. Not directed at Lyra. At him. Why her? Lyra turned her gaze toward Elias. Her systems quieted. No analysis. No prediction. Just waiting. Elias didn't answer immediately. He looked at her. Not at the file. Not at the warnings. At her, because everyone else made a decision without asking a question, he said. The officer's expression didn't change, but something behind it shifted. And you did, they asked. Elias nodded. I asked why no one wanted her. The room held still. And the officer pressed. Elias glanced at Lyra again. A small, almost imperceptible smile forming. And I listened. That was it. No grand speech. No dramatic decoration. Just that. Lyra's glow changed. Not brighter. Not reactive. But steady. For the first time. Stable without suppression. The officer looked between them. At the human who accepted risk without denial. At the being who had been defined only by it. Then, slowly, they reached out and signed. The interface pulsed. Application number 1001. Accepted. No applause followed. No music. Just a quiet confirmation. A decision that didn't fit the system's usual patterns. Outside the chamber, the hall continued as it always had. Families choosing. Children leaving. Lives beginning. Lyra and Elias stepped into it together. Side by side. You understand this is irreversible, she said. Yes. You may change in ways you cannot predict. I already am. She looked at him, processing, measuring, but something was different now. She wasn't just observing. Why are you not afraid? She asked. Elias thought for a moment, then shrugged slightly. I am, he said. She paused. But I'm more afraid of walking away from something just because it's different, he added. Lyra processed that. Carefully, deeply. I will understand you completely, she said. Elias smiled faintly. Then I guess I'll finally stop having to explain myself all the time. They walked forward, not merged, not changed, not yet, but no longer alone. And somewhere within Lyra's adaptive core, beyond data, beyond prediction, a new variable formed. Not risk, not instability, possibility.